Well, everybody, wait a minute. Well, everybody, wait a minute. Well, everybody, wait a minute. Sunshine, sunshine. Well, everybody, wait a minute. Yeah, but everybody, wait a minute. Time by. Yeah, keep me right there. Everybody, wait a minute. Well, everybody, wait a minute. Well, everybody, wait a minute. Sunshine, sunshine. Well, everybody, wait a minute. I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. What's up, world? Welcome back to I Mix What I Like. I'm Jared Ball, happy to be your host. Please do all of the things like, share, subscribe, join the Patreon. Make sure, if you aren't already, that you've done the same at Black Liberation Media as well. Make sure you have the bell rung on both platforms. And please put this in your socials and do all the things. We are going to have a discussion shortly with Brother Azania and another special guest. um, so, but yeah, and man, salute to also Mtume Gant, who I just had the fun and honor of taping and a discussion with about hip hop history. That'll be coming out on his platform sooner than later. So, you know, look out for that as well. And yeah, thanks again. So we're just waiting a couple of minutes for our guest to get set up, and then we will go ahead and get started. I was thinking if we, yeah, I'll just hold off. But the my notes for the next live are getting so it's just so long that I thought I might knock off a couple here, but no, we're not going to have time for that, and rightfully so. So quick transition, and we'll come back with our guests and get into this conversation about political imprisonment and other related issues. It's good to see everybody. Thanks everybody for coming through. James, what's up? What's up? TL, Steven, peace, everybody. Yipper, of course. Quick shout out to both Medgar Evers College and the folks at Brooklyn College for these recent discussions. And then, of course, the Black Student Union at Albany, or is it African Student Union? Asuba. And you can hear a rendition of the presentation I gave is on the channel. Spilled coffee and black capitalism. It was a fun time. It was a challenging event, but but it was a good time. So salute to them as well. So okay, quick shift here. We'll come right back with our guests and move on to more important things. Don't go anywhere. I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. All right, greetings everybody. Welcome back again to the platform. And of course, we all know and appreciate Two Black, Black Myths Podcast. Check him out and others on at Black Liberation Media. And joining us for the first time on the fly, in between actions and efforts. And welcome, Zolo. I apologize. Zolo Azania. Sorry. My
Yeah.
apologies. My bifocals just got in the way. And I've been reading, it's ridiculous because I've been reading about your life all day. But anyway, welcome. I apologize. It's good to virtually meet you, and I appreciate you. Greetings. Welcome to the platform. And again, good to see you again, Two Black. Welcome.
Peace. I just kind of ended up here out of the blue.
I thought you had some gray hair in there, but I said that's a light coming through the window on your side. Two Black.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wish I could say the same, but no, mine's real gray.
It might be a little gray in there now, but
okay.
But yeah, we mostly still got it. But yeah, Zolo, I kind of just hopped on out of the blue, so this is kind of on the fly. But I don't know if you want to talk about give us a little bit of introduction who you are, some of your history in the struggle. People, with at least been informed you're former, or I would say always, BLA, political prisoner, beat the Supreme Court, or beat the state three times. You can talk about it more yourself. But if you just want to give us a little introduction to who you are, and then we'll get to the I'm gonna post the fundraising links because we're also here to fundraise for you. So
I should have
apologize
had my
everybody for the
tablet.
sun. I can't black it out. So
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. That's good. It's still a good picture. I just thought it was great. I should have had my tablet because we just lost another brother. He's another unsung hero that people don't know about. He's in this picture, but you can't hardly see the people. This is from 1978, I think. That's when I was still in prison in Michigan City, and these are some of the comrades right here. And the brother that we lost, I don't know if he's right there, but it's not a good picture. I'm just showing you. It brought back a lot of memory because another brother sent it to me when brother Ndugu. His name is David Earl from St. Louis. He just passed away. But brother Ndugu, I got to give him credit, man, for bringing me along. Because at that time, I was 23 years old, 23 or 24. And I was recruited in prison. And there are some Ndugu, he was one of Shasha Brown's comrades, and they from that cadre. And that's how I came through. So I don't even know where y'all want to start at, but
Well, it's my fault actually, and I apologize to you both and to everybody. But just to be clear and appropriately reverent, we're talking to somebody who was a longtime political prisoner, member of the Black Liberation Army, and somebody who was accused, as is often the case with that wing of the movement, of killing a police officer, survived multiple attempts to carry out a death sentence, and was released in 2017 after a long legal battle. So uh, I just want to, because we've never met, and I've never, I just want to personally salute you and show you the respect and honor for that, all of that work, being a member of the BLA, making it through that sentence, and being here, and uh, yeah, and coming out of Gary, Indiana. If I didn't say that as well, let me just clarify that as well. Um, so. But please add anything else that you would want folks to know, and if there were folks that were just being, introduced to you, um, and as folks might have seen on the thumbnail, is also an artist. I should add, among other things. So, uh, but yeah, forgive me again for that. And then if there's anything else that you would want to add, please do
hey,
please
I
do.
sure appreciate this, man, because you big time.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
oh yeah, you big time, man. Hey, we all watch you. We recommend, Black Power Media also, but we recommend people to, observe, watch your programs, because this is another way of educating the public, educating people. So if I'm working with somebody, if I observe somebody and I want to spend, they don't know what I'm thinking, but I'm thinking about, recruiting all the time. But if I see somebody that have them type of sentiments, might be leaning that way, so I recommend, I give books to them, but I also recommend your program so they can listen to you talk. And then, because when you are not consciously aware, you think you know something, but you actually don't know. Because when you start putting things in different perspective, that's my artist in me. When you drawing pictures, you deal with perspectives, but the perspectives, it's relevant in every walk of life. And that only means, it's simple. That only means that you're looking at something from a different angle. So no matter what you know or how much you know, when you see something from a certain angle, and you're not accustomed from observing things from that angle, you don't have much knowledge about that. You're gonna see things that's even new to you. It might be something about your particular expertise or field of knowledge. So by me recommending people to watch your program, that's giving them something from a different point of view that they never even heard before. Wow, I didn't know that. Well, yeah, because you haven't seen it or heard it being explained or described to you in that particular manner.
again, I appreciate that, and thank you. So yeah, um, where should we go from here?
Any
What?
question you got? I
Well,
like
I
for you
wanted
to
to make
ask
sure I
questions.
wasn't.
If I just start talking, I'd be rambling on. I'd be all over the place. But
Well,
if you ask me some questions, then I can give you a direct answer.
sure, sure. So first of all, before we move on, as Two Black said, we want to raise as whatever we can to support Brother Azania, and his Patreon link is already in the show description. And what I will do is just follow, and what I'll probably do, just to make it easier, just follow whatever revenue is generated on this video and just send that to your Patreon as well. And just in some small bit of support that can be offered. But I wasn't sure, because I honestly wasn't sure if there was something in particular that you wanted to raise up during this discussion. Otherwise, I would definitely want to hear more about your life's work, your arrival to certain politics, and all those kinds of things. But I wanted to make sure that if whatever, because unfortunately I do have to leave a little bit after 4 my time. These contradictions of tree lined streets life, first world problems. But so, but that said, at the same time, we can also have you come back as many times as you all want. So there's that as well. All right. All of that said, how would you both think we should proceed?
Um, Zolo, I don't know if you, I know some things you can't discuss, like but I guess how did you how did you get involved with BLA? You had said to me once that the Black Liberation Army was when we first stepped off the boats, right? Like there's
Mm.
always been a BLA. How did you get involved with the iteration that you joined BLA as well as the Panther Party? And also, the last point, you could talk a little bit about the Indianapolis chapter of the Panthers. I think let's start there because
Mm.
there's a lot of history that doesn't really, I don't even know a lot about even living here. So if you could maybe start with the Indianapolis chapter of the Panthers, that would be a good start, I think.
Okay, I'm gonna go back a little bit to when I was around about 13.
Okay.
Uh, this was in 1968. Now that was a Panther chapter in the area where I lived, you know, at that time, and it was right down the street. My mother didn't like me going down there. That was a branch office, but the headquarters in Gary was on 19th and Broadway, 18th or 19th and Broadway. But anyway, a call had been put out uh, for uh, for a gang truce, and even though I was not in no gang at that time, I'm gonna come back to that word gang because gangs when I was just a little boy, that was coming up. They wasn't called gangs; they were called clubs. You know, and we had a clubhouse. It wasn't gangs, but that came along later. You know, because gangs has been stereotyped. It used to have a bad connotation to it. But the Mayor Daley in Chicago is the one that's credited with coining the phrase gangs or street gangs, you know, or hoodlums. Anyway, uh, Fred Hampton, which I never knew him, I never met him, but he was always in the news. You always heard his name. And Gary, they called Gary Little Chicago because we 40 minutes away from Gary. Chicago. We always had that interchange. Our news is from Chicago. Our TV channels, all of that, everything Chicago, Gary. They even got a Gary Chicago airport. So we always was some kind of way associated with Chicago. And I was one of the generations that came up here this way from the South in the 1950s when I was a little over 2 years old. My father's parents moved up here for jobs and stuff like that. But I went to a few meetings for the game truce. Now I want to say this because although I'm doing a little writing too, which I haven't done much since I've been out. When Mayor Hatcher was elected mayor in 1967, at that time I think it was Carl Stokes, I think in Cleveland, Ohio.
First black mayor.
He actually was the first black mayor that was elected in the United States. But Carl Stokes had demanded a recount because they first declared him the loser. So when they had the recount, in the process of that night, Hatcher was declared the winner in Gary. So he was considered the first black mayor elected in the United States of America. So he became famous for that. We become the first of something. That's the limit of our historical contributions. How they put it. But Hatcher, his bodyguards were the Sin City disciples because he couldn't trust the police when he was campaigning for mayor. But not only that, he also was able to recruit all the street organizations called gangs, all of them. Now there are documented. I got a lot of stuff. I didn't know we was gonna go off into this. I didn't have a clue I was gonna go off into this, but I got a lot of news accounts. But prior to Hatcher becoming mayor, I want to give you a little something about the Sin City disciples because all of these things had something to do with my development, even though I didn't have a clue at that time what was going on. I'm talking with hindsight right now. All this is hindsight. Even with my involvement in certain things, it's with hindsight before I go off into how I actually became or started waking up to some type of social consciousness, politically. So the reason I say about the Sin City disciples is because every community at that time, you had a big mama, like what they talk about. What's his name? The one that the big mama on the movies.
Martin Lawrence.
No, well he'll do.
No, you meant
I'm trying to say.
You meant the what's
Soul Food.
Soul
Tyler
Food.
Perry.
Yeah.
Oh, Tyler Perry.
Oh, Tyler Perry. Oh, wow.
Well, see, every community, coming up from that generation, every community had a big mama. Every community had somebody who in your community or your general neighborhood area, in your school, playground, that's been known for looking out for somebody, like the anti-bully. He's the big boy or the big man who's the anti-bully, where your parents can get loans from him. He might be a preacher, loan shark, a policy runner, all of that. So those are the type of communities that I was, brought up in, doing, because it was still segregation, although Gary had a different, unique style to their segregation. They had a lot of Eastern Europeans in Gary. And the Eastern Europeans were also, like the Hungarians. The Hungarians actually are the hunkies. Those what the Anglo-Saxons called the Hungarians, because the West Europeans didn't like the Eastern Europeans. Plus the Eastern Europeans was treated like, one step above a nigger.
Right.
So my father worked in the steel mill, and I learned about a lot of goings-ons about that type of stuff. Listen to my father talk, being part of the union and stuff like that. Okay, but the Sin City disciples had usurped or undermined Hatcher, Richard Gordon Hatcher, undermined the Black Panther Party in Gary. When they had the gang truce, where Hatcher helped the Sin City disciples get a larger building.
Mm-hmm.
They had a bar in it, a dance hall. They had talent shows, live bands, all that kind of stuff like that. So even some of the Panther members in the local chapter, the community chapter that I was in the area where I live, they was even going there too. But they had drug, not drug, but gang truth meetings, in them places. In Sin City, was the head of that. So make a long story short, next thing I know, because you didn't have the type of raids that you had in other places on the Panther offices, you didn't have them type of stuff going on here in Gary. Not like that. It was done a different type of way. That had to be another topic at another time, but I just wanted to get that in because it's other than me, I don't know many people that still living or wherever they at that know about what I'm talking about.
Right.
There's a handful, but every now and then I'll be talking about something, and maybe somebody I don't even know that might be older than me also, and then they're like, "Oh, I remember that," But other than that, I'm gonna write something about that. Well, when I went to prison fast forwarding, I went to prison in that was 1974. Okay, I originally caught the case in 1978. It was a home invasion, and at that time, I was involved in some what they call gang activity. At that time, I was running the streets doing crazy stuff, but I always in the back of my mind, I was the type where dudes be telling me, "Oh man, what they call me? They called me professor. They called me those type of words are like nerds,
Right.
They called me. I wasn't a nerd, but they'll call me professor, because I was always trying to figure out a little something to do this and get and be get out in the opposition. I was always scheming and trying to do things a certain type of way, but making things mechanical. I wasn't much on electricity because I was scared of electricity. But I would dib a dab with some electrical wiring and stuff like that. But I mainly did other things, carpentry, mechanical. I made a motorbike because my mother couldn't afford to make me buy me a moped, so I made a motorbike out of a bicycle. I took a bicycle, put a motor on it, down the street. I didn't have a clutch, no brakes, but I had a screwdriver because I used a pulley with a fan belt. And I put the screwdriver, I put the pressure on the fan belt, which tighten the wheel up. I'm going. So I had a lot of friends. I know how to make stuff and stuff like that. Well, while I was in prison, coming through the county jail, and I met a few people. And while in prison, when I first went in that place, it was like going back in time in a time machine. It's like a child fantasizing, watching a movie about a time machine. So that was an old movie years. I don't know how long it was, back in the early '60s. It was called Time Machine. They even made a comedy out of one of them with the Street Three Stooges. But the Time Machine was like I went back to I was actually like in slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Prison was like slavery. Nobody had to tell me that. We didn't have no hot waters in the cell. In the wintertime, the water in the toilets would freeze. All the stereotypes that you would encounter in modern day times, and how people would act and conduct themselves during this institution of slavery.
Which prison was this?
This was at where Balagoon them caught that case at Pendleton.
Oh, this at Pendleton. Okay.
Yeah, that was 1974.
Okay.
It was seemed like it was 1874. I mean, it was bad, man. And even though James Brown had put that song out in 1968, "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud," I was just going along because everybody else is saying it. God with Black Power and all that. I ain't know nothing about none of that. I was just in the crowd, But in prison, that 1974 was the time that I can put a time on it, that I was actually proud to be Black. Because, man, brothers, man, we had to stick together in there. You had to. You didn't have no choice. And this is when I didn't meet Macau until 1975, because he was constantly on lockup. Brother, his name is Robert Wright. we found out later that well, I met somebody that I didn't even know. He didn't know either, because at that time Fred Hampton was the big case in Gary and the Chicago area. Everybody knew about Fred Hampton. I haven't read a book, but everybody knew about Fred Hampton. So when in the Panther Papers was banned in all the prisons, but every now and then a mistake would happen and one will slip through.
Mm.
You know, and because back then you can go to the hole if you got caught with a Malcolm X book.
Right.
You going to the hole, especially Malcolm X. Marcus Garvey, you going to the hole. You know, there ain't no questions about that. But you had more of those books in prison then than you do now, because they be hid. They be hidden. It was, you know, and anybody couldn't get one of them. It had to be secretive, or you had to be in the study group, and then who the book belonged to, they'll take their book back. You know, but in 1970, I'm fast forwarding now. 1975. I gotta do all this to get to the blah part. Well, in 1975, I met Mikau. They finally let him in population. I don't know how many years he was on lockup, back and forth to different prisons, because of a lawsuit they was involved in. And these were college students. Most of them was white, but you have a few, you know, brothers and sisters in there, sprinkled in there, but most of them was white, coming out of the different colleges and universities in the environment of the anti-war movement, from Vietnam War movement. I was also influenced by a lot of veterans. I was curious. I wanted to get I don't want to get the news media account. I want to know who was there and tell me the real story. And it was hard to get them brothers, man, to open up. So I had to trick them sometimes. You know, sneak around and with their crowds, and I'd be on the bleacher sometimes sitting. I just constantly, you know, from way down there, and I just keep doing this, trying to get me a good earshot. Then eventually they start, you know, I listened to them, and then eventually they would start telling me things, you know, and you know, it was like, what? This stuff you ain't gonna read in no books, you know, but they were telling me things. Well, anyway, Mikau, his name was Robert Wright. He was a COINTELPRO target.
Mm.
And he didn't know it. We didn't find out about COINTELPRO until it started seeping out around, to my knowledge, 1974. Because even though it was seeping out, it wasn't widely published in the media. Like a, you know, like this is a scandal like Watergate. I knew about Watergate, but COINTELPRO was kind of like eased into the public. It wasn't no blast, you know, pictured splattered every, because they still was denying it. I found out some of this from the attorneys. Later, that law firm represented me, but I'm not gonna get to that yet. But Jeffrey Haas and Flint Taylor and Michael Deutsch and Dennis Cunningham and all of them, you know, I'm not talking about the younger ones. There are some younger ones, you know, that came through, but they wasn't around when he was started and so forth, you know. But there's some kind of way I don't remember how it came out about Mikau. That's his African name, Giadi Kajo, and then there was another brother named not Kajo, but Mikau Giani. I'm not sure how to spell Mikau's last name. But anyway, there was another brother called Nwatha. His slave name is Hugh Lyons. He was a big brother. He had a voice like that. You know what I'm saying? But that was a good brother, man. Good brother. Hey, man, they tried to jump on him one time. He handled 5 of them. Bam. Another bam. Bam. Hey, it got to the point where they let him walk to lockup by himself with no handcuffs. But I was on the sideline back then, you know. Mikau and them, they were heavyweight to me. I thought they were gonna get killed in there. People was the prison population, even though we stuck together, we were sticking together for the wrong reasons. Because you always had race riots in there every year. They shoot in there every year. At least once or twice a year, there's shooting in there from the gun towers.
The guards are shooting.
Yeah.
Mm.
See, back then they wore white hats. The rank sergeants, lieutenants on up, they had white hats. The lower level guards, we call them blue hats. If you wave his head like that, you look for a place to duck. They shoot, and if that head hit the ground, everything cut loose. Every tower cut loose, and that's how we live. You know, but you get to the point where once you be there for a while, they don't phase you anymore. You just go on about your life like it's no big deal. But it was a big deal to me first walking in there at such a young, impressionable age.
You were how old?
I was 19.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 19, 1974. I turned 20 in December. 1975, around early spring, late spring, maybe early summer, May, June, I met Mikau. But I met in Watha first. And I first started learning about dialectical materialism from Watha. And he was giving me an example. I couldn't hardly grasp it. I couldn't grasp it for whatever reason. I couldn't grasp it. So they were smoking cigarettes in there at the time. And we was in the library. So he took a matchbook and he lit the whole thing. He said, eventually this matchbook is going to deteriorate. It's going to deteriorate and it's going to turn to dust and blow away in the wind somewhere. He said, but you can speed up the contradiction. I said, how you do that? Well, he just took a match and lit it. And he put it in the ashtray and we just washed it. And it all turned to ashes. And then that's when that's when he hit me. You know what I'm saying? So
that might be the best explanation of dialectical materialism.
Yeah, he said that's the steel bars, the bars that hold you in that cage. One day them bars gonna be like this, but it's gonna take a long time. But you can speed up the contradiction. So what he was doing, he was getting me ready to become a social activist. Well, you socially getting involved for political and economic reasons to bring about a revolutionary transformation in the society. I'm going fast forwarding now. So I think it was 1976. There was a big class action lawsuit in which the prison, they won. And that's when more information was allowed to come into the prison. And one of the reasons why more information was coming into the prisons is because what the brothers was doing in California from George Jackson's time. Because George's book was another book that was banned, but some kind of way it got into the prison, the hardback too. I guess how they, you can get you can get things done even for the good right reasons. You can get things done. But a lot of brothers are not trying to get no books in; they're trying to get other stuff in. But blood in my eye. Well, they had won a lot of suits out there with Faith Stender and a lot of them attorneys out there in California. Well, we was doing the same thing up here. I say we because that's what the lawyers, what they call. They were called the Legal Service Organization. You had the Legal Service Organization. You had Law and Poverty Center. You had the Civil Liberties Union when they were still militant a little bit, and you had other attorneys. In other words, that was the climate. It was a climate. It was just a whole climate, of what was going on, and so I ended up getting transferred to Indiana State Prison because I caught a case in Pendleton. I caught a case on a guard It's a long story. It's got to be another story. Got to be another time for that too,
Right.
because this particular guard, him and another guard, they were known for killing brothers.
Hmm.
Yeah, Heater was his name. This one is named Broyles, like Broyles. His name was Broyles. Broyles and Heater, they kind of look alike a little bit. We used to call them Fu Manchu because they had the thick mustache that come down. All this is clean with the big old thick mustache coming down. They walking around like they, the Hulk or something. But I ended Heater killed the brother. See, what they did, they allowed him to resign and go get a job someplace else, but no charges was ever brought against him. He was the one that was instrumental in killing Arthur Jones from South End, a brother. So the prison population knew about that, but Macau and Watha, brother named Shaka, and some others, they're the ones who kept the pressure on by writing letters, being in contact with the brother's family. They was involved with a lot of stuff, even from the streets, And so I had nothing to do with that, but I was around while this activity was going on. So I ended up caught a case on Heater's right hand man. So now Macau and everybody Macau was working in the infirmary. So he had like freedom of movement around the prison because we didn't have real nurses, and we didn't have we had some doctors, but they were rejects. There were doctors who had malpractice lawsuits filed against them. There were doctors who had lost their license, and they can get a job as a nurse. But they actually were doing stuff in there as doctors would do. Also, they was experimenting on prisoners too, because Eli Lilly is in Indianapolis, and they would pay the prisoners for all kind of experimentations and stuff like that to give you privileges. Well, anyway, Yahoo would coming to the first. He came to the hole, like I'm going to a sick call or checking on the prisoners, and he'll look in on me. They jumped on me, but they didn't beat me. They didn't dog me out. So I ended up catching the case, going to back and forth to court. They tried to give me some more time, but Calhoun was bringing me books up there, and that's when I first started actually reading. I was considered a antisocial, functional dysliterate. That's on my packet. Antisocial, functional dysliterate. Antisocial. What do you call it? Functional literate.
Functionally illiterate. Is that what you're saying?
Functionally illiterate.
Yeah.
I was classified as that. So I used to get these real bad headaches because my eye would ache. I wasn't wearing my glasses like I supposed to. I've been wearing glasses since I was 7 years old, but I wouldn't wear them because they kept calling me Four Eyes and Mr. Peabody and all that old professor and all that. So I go to the playground and I conveniently leave them on the sliding board, or I just throw them away. Where your glasses at? I left them on the playground. You better go get them. I go and stay a little. I came, but where your glasses at? I couldn't find them. So I went to prison. Now I wasn't buying my own. I wasn't paying for them. So but now my eye hurting so bad. Woo! I had to get some glasses. So one night I was reading a book. It wasn't the Peculiar Institution, but it was a book. I don't remember the title of it, but it was written on the same type of format that what's his name? Stamp. His name was Stamp. He wrote the book called The Peculiar Institution about slavery.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a book similar to that. And I was struggling, couldn't make it. So one night I was calling for somebody to come, bring me some Tylenols or something. But people that worked on the unit, the porters. This brother ignored me. And I kept calling. I thought he didn't hear me. So the further away he walked, the louder I got. And I kept screaming until I was screaming for real. I couldn't stop. I was screaming. Ah, ah! I couldn't stop. I mean, I couldn't stop. But my mind is saying, come, stop. I'm telling myself to stop. Now I can't stop. So I'm thinking, stop. I couldn't stop. So a guard, somebody got the guards, and then a sergeant came down the unit that worked up there. He was kind of a halfway decent dude. He had lost his rank. Long story. But anyway, white dude. He stood in front of the cell in front of me. He said, "What's wrong?" So I was still screaming, yeah, I was doing this. I was trying to tell him, wait a minute. I went somewhere, make a long story short, and I finally started coming down. And it felt like I had been running full speed somewhere. That's how I felt. My heart beating fast. And I was exhausted. I was standing up. I was breathing. So I finally caught my breath. He said, "What's wrong?" I said, "I got a headache. I need some Tylenol." He said, "That's all?" I said, "Yeah." So now I'm embarrassed because everybody heard me. So I used to be a class clown. You know, even I was in prison, you know, it was kind of rough in there. I still was joking and jabbing. I'd cut you up. I'd call you all the time names in the book. And I wouldn't even have to use no cuss words. But after that, I stopped. I don't jab with people no more. I don't do that no more. Even having fun. I mean, you got to be real close to me before I even say anything in a joking manner to you. Otherwise, I'm not going to say nothing in a no joking manner. I might not even laugh if somebody else said something. You know, because I actually went somewhere. There's a thin line between sanity and insanity. And I don't play with that anymore. That's true. I came back. Wherever I went, I came back. And I knew what I was thinking. So now, at that time, I started thinking that other people who have some kind of chemical imbalance or whatever happened to them, and they kind of lose it a little bit, that's true. Ain't no faking about that. Well, anyway, the next day, I came out for my recreation. You know, now other brothers came out before me. Because they alternate on our rec schedule. They don't let you out one at a time. Back then, you didn't get no what they call recreation. You didn't get no recreation. You got your recreation in population. When you go to lockup, they still let us have visits though. They still would let us have visits. They had just started contact visits. But they just they had allowed us to have our visits. But man, if you didn't have, you gotta be locked up for 30 days with no write-ups. Then they'll let you out for 30 minutes. Or was it 15 minutes? 30 minutes. They called it treatment. They didn't call it recreation. So you got to get on the treatment list. Then they'll let you out by yourself. You can pass out hot water. You can pass out ice. And you can run errands for people, you know, that's not out. And you have to take your shower within that period of time. You don't take your shower, you will get there until the next time you come out. But I hadn't had any what nowadays is called recreation. I hadn't had any recreation for over a month. I had got a write-up up there. So I had to go another whole month. If you don't get no visit, you're not coming out of that cell. So they had something to do with it too, I believe. But anyway, brothers came out, man. Nobody made fun of me. I was 21. I was 21 years old. Nobody made fun of me. Brothers would talk to me in a low voice, say it's gonna be all right. You know, they give me some encouragements. And the brother that I first, because Mukau didn't do it, when Walter didn't do it, the brother that first gave me a book, Blood in My Eye, was somebody that I had already knew when he was from Gary. He got the book. I don't know how he got the book from somebody else, but he gave me that book. I wasn't reading it that night, but he eventually gave me that book. He came down and talked to me. We called him Cold Soup. He was a hit man. Well, let me tell you, man, that's non-political, but you know, he started turning his life around too. You know, I knew him before I went to prison. He was a couple of years older than me. He talked to me, and I got past that. Tab took care of it. Their embarrassment went away. It's only recently, the last few years, I was able to talk about that. I'm talking about that intentionally because other people are watching this program. So now I'm kind of getting it out of my system. You know,
Yeah.
I was embarrassed about that for years. I couldn't figure it out. You know, what happened to me, you know? But what else? What else after that? Oh, I got off into the law. I started studying the law. Got pretty good at it. Didn't know I got good at it, but I got pretty good at it because I had caught a case. I won the case. You know. Sometimes they say ignorance is bliss. There was this brother who did some time in New Jersey. We was the same age, but we went to the same high school. But I hadn't seen him in years. Me and him wasn't really close, but I knew Dante. I knew him, but not as a friend. I just knew him from a distance, and we would pass by each other and speak. But in prison, we was on lockup together. Because when I caught that case, we had came to the defense of a brother who got stabbed. And the guard that got injured, he grabbed the brother who gave me the book about George Jackson's Cold. We call him Cold Soup, Charles Campbell. He grabbed him around the throat and was choking him. I said, "Man, what are you doing?" So, hey, when the guards when they finally stormed the cell house, he was laying on the floor. So when they came in, nobody told for a whole day because that's how much that individual was hated. This particular guard, Heater's running buddy, the one that killed Arthur Jones, he was so hated, it took a whole day and night before somebody told on me. Wow. And the person that told on me didn't see anything. He just heard the rumor from other people talking. And because back then, if you save a guard or come to or something like that, come to the rescue of a guard, that was automatic parole. They don't do that anymore. But that was automatic because people was running game on him. But this particular dude that told on me, he ran game on them because he lied. Because he came down the cell, he came down the range. I'm locked in the cell. So I knew they came and shook down and looked at everybody's hands and turn around, take your shirt off and look, see if you had any injuries on you. So I'm cool. Next thing I know, this dude come down the range. Hey, he called himself Mac Man. Mac Man, all right. Yeah, he is Mac Man, all right. So what's wrong with you? Oh, one of y'all hit me with a shovel. What you talking about, man? What you talking about? I don't know what you talking about. Where you get that from? Oh, you don't talk about. Well, he was the one that told. And he didn't come back to court. He didn't come back to court, but still, that's how I got that case. So I beat the case in 1977. They wouldn't let me off in lockup. The guards said they didn't want me in lockup. I mean, want me in population no more. If something happened to it, they feel this hero. Rest of them don't have a chance. That's what they think. So they sent me to Michigan City, the big house. And so I went to Michigan City and I met this brother, David Earl. He was from St. Louis. It's probably backwards. Probably.
Yeah, it's mirrored, unfortunately.
Yeah, man. But this is his obituary. So I'm supposed to be speaking at his services tomorrow. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but it's Saturday. Me and another brother were talking about it. We decided to do this because nobody knew about David Earl. They don't know. David Earl was was underground before me. They ended up I ended up meeting him because they caught some bank robberies down in Evansville, Indiana. Nobody know nothing about, but they got some suspicion because of this one brother. I'm gonna say this now because I'm really not saying anything. T is 75 right now, but he was the only one, according to, because he had a lot of books and stuff when they got arrested, and they didn't get arrested. Somebody told something because they said we figured it was somebody from out of town because our niggas don't do stuff like this. Wait, that's kind of, he probably didn't say nigga, but our blacks, our area, we know this ain't none of our blacks MO. Well, but however they put it, the stereotypes. So when I was in Michigan City, I didn't know they was watching me. I was on my own as far as what I learned from Macau and what I learned from Unwatha and a few other brothers. I wasn't, where I was associated. I wasn't no member. They treated me like a member. I was associated with the October League, Communist Party Marxist-Leninists out of California, Illinois. There was a splinter group from SDS, Michael Kolonsky. Michael Kolonsky was, I don't know if he was part of the Rainbow Coalition or not, but he was the chairman of the October League. And so I don't even remember how, I remember how I started associating with them. They had a paper called El Clorin. It was a bilingual. It was English and Spanish. It was called The Call, not the final call, but The Call. That was the name of the paper, The Call. Had the red, it had a lot of red in it always, had a lot of red in their paper. So they gave me space in their paper to write, to, I did illustrations of different things. A matter of fact, I painted that picture of Asada Shakur. And the reason I done that, because we were so happy that she got in the win, that everybody was overjoyed. You know what I'm saying? The prison just like, wow! Everybody was happy. We didn't know what happened, how, we didn't know nothing. So we didn't have to know nothing. We were just happy. That's all that was mattered. You know what I'm saying? We was happy. And so I painted a picture. And that was the picture with the two brothers with the shields. I put George's portrait in likeness in one of the shields, and I put Malcolm's X's likeness in the other shield, and I got Asada in the middle, and everybody around. And really, the go to show you how much influence we are influenced by Illinois. It's still me doing the New York, skyline, high rise, office buildings. I ended up got the Illinois high rise light, cause I kept looking at it, after I looked at, that's the Sears Tower back then. Now they call it the Willis Tower. And I'm like, oh, that's this building. That's, well, anyway, that's the picture that I painted at that time. I wouldn't sell it. I still got it.
Oh, you still got it?
Yeah, I wouldn't sell it. There are some paintings I wouldn't sell. Most white people buy my work, and sometimes they buy it and they hide it away. But some things I just didn't sell. I kept them. Some of them, even when I needed money, I still kept it. But see, I'm trying to see what else. Oh, David Earl. See, David Earl, he's the one who actually brushing me up with my skills as far as dialectical materialism concerned. And then we started to, well, they saw me one day. It was me and another brother. And David Earl approached me. He said, we've been watching you. What you mean you've been watching me? So I'm thinking about like, hey, what you talking about? What you mean you watching me? What's going on here? He said, oh no, man, ain't like that, man. He started smiling, Then T walked up. T Shaka. T walked up. He said, yeah, man. He said, we need you. I said, wait, what you mean you need me? So we had back then you had a publication called Black News that was out of I think Brooklyn, New York. And Black News was deep. I mean, it was on the same level as far as the article. It was a journal. It was on the same level as the Panther paper. and they had stuff like because you had other journals such as the uh uh doggone it uh uh
Yeah.
RAM.
Oh,
RAM.
Ram.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, RAM. See, RAM material was hard to come by. You know, we had I'm cutting a lot of stuff out, but we was able to make copies of material, and we had to camouflage it, and you know, and we had our own, because we were BGF also.
Black Gorilla Family.
Yes, and you had a lot of comrades who was falling throughout the country, crisscrossing the country. Some end up in this prison, that prison, and wherever they go, they said that, like as far as a cell, like a microorganism, a single cell microorganism can reproduce itself. So each one of us, as an organism, we can reproduce a cell.
Mm-hmm.
And when the cell, we had a number. I don't know about anybody else, but our number was 5. So when our cell reached 5, we mutate.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily wanting everybody to go their own separate ways, but we start spending less time with one another and more time with others that we are what we call, what word we had a term called, we used to use it on Balagood and Mustafa, his slave named Goodner.
Mm-hmm.
We used to we and there was a few other brothers, and prospect. We call them prospects.
Right.
Hey man, I was looking at a prospect the other day. Yeah. So and so, so and so. Hey, I was too, man. You see the same thing I saw in him? I said, yeah, man. I said, he's hard. I said, yeah, man. We just gotta find a way to harness that energy into a different direction because he's right. We need him. So this is how we talk about people in the joint, and we use what you call the prison as the training ground. So all that time we was there, once a commitment was made, we took an oath, uh, a vow of poverty. I'm fast forwarding from when you actually get deeper into it. This is not on the fringe. You're active now, even though you're
Right.
on probation, but you're active. And you don't, and you only be notified of whatever you need to know, because that's how we function on a need to know basis. If you didn't need to know, then there's no need for you to even ask. And if you ask, now you're suspicious. So you want to keep that. You want to keep yourself always above board, always with transparent. So that's how we organize, and we consolidated our organizational structure. We didn't go around talking about it. You didn't talk about it. You know, Once the initial introduction, we had study guides. We had the BLA study guide. I'm telling you, man, we had ways of getting stuff. Hey, man, brothers, people are in prison. Most people in prison are in prison because they want to be there. You can figure out whatever it takes. You can figure out how to do it. The only problem you have is running off at the mouth. They can't hold you in there, man. Oh, now they got ways of making it almost close to impossible, such as with the supermax,
Yeah.
Florida, things of that nature. But prison generally, different which one it is. If there's a will, there's a way. But it's hard because our biggest problem was informants. But what I can say though, with confidence, we did something right because we were never infiltrated. Not to my knowledge. If it happened, it's news to me. I never heard of it. I don't know about anybody else who ever heard of it. Nowhere. All 50 states. None. So, but in the 21st century, nowadays, I wouldn't have done this. I wouldn't have done this interview 30 or 40 years ago. I wouldn't have done it.
Right.
10 or 15 years ago, I wouldn't have done it.
Right.
It was nothing to talk about. I never discussed it. I never discussed anything with my comrades. Never. We could talk with each other and nothing like this ever come up at all. Period. There was no discussion in any shape, form, or fashion. Now, if there was something that had to be done, then whoever the leader of the cell was, that individual was responsible for example, there was a sister. I don't even know what happened to this sister. I only mentioned her name once or twice to a couple of comrades. Whatever happened to Sister BB, Angola? I met her once. It's almost like I knew her before I even met her. But we went to Chicago one night to lend some support to this brother named Hannibal Afrique. But we was with another brother named I'm dropping names, ain't I? Hugh. But anyway, it was three of us. Donnie was another brother. He was in Gary, but Donnie succumbed to the AIDS the AIDS virus. Donnie became he had went to see Donnie also he went to Bloomington. He used to run with us in the streets, but he was one of the ones that was smart for real. And when he graduated, I think he graduated in 71, and he went to college. And he would come back home, but he'd still be with us. But he used to bring in these red, black, and green flags. He had posters of Huey Newton, and he was got his own place. He had his own place. Him and a friend of his from his college. And so we would all be there. We was doing still negative stuff, but we was what you call rough lumpings. We were rough. We wasn't going around looking for black people to victimize. No, we didn't do that. We didn't go around doing that, but we were doing other negative things that probably adversely impacted, the communities and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure we did, but I was 18 at that time. But I had to mention that because it was us three together that night. I met BB. And he had the long braids, but I didn't know about the weaves and stuff. So I don't even know if BB had a weaves in her hair or not. But on the pictures I've seen, everything I saw about BB, she had short cropped hair, short afro. But that night, BB had a picture. This is in 1980. BB had a picture, a Polaroid. And she didn't let her fingerprints get on it, because she kept, using like a spatula. She was showing us a picture of her and Asada, and So that was in 1980. So you know what that means. So I ain't gonna go for anything about like that. But
yeah,
a call had been put out 1981. And this is my characterization of it. When the call was put out to move, it was none of my business what anybody else is doing. It was time to get up and put in some work. So that's what was done. And that was in August 1981. So I got captured. But really, man, They had never, to this day, they don't have nobody to say I did nothing. Nothing. I got death penalty twice. Boy, they cheated every step of the way, boy. I ain't got to tell you about the system, but I did learn some things, though. I'm going to say this. I never spoke like this. It's not about me. I'm going to speak somebody else's name. Mumia Abu Jamal. I'm mentioning him because Mumia has no business being in prison right now. Period. Not because he's innocent. Not because they ain't got no real evidence or all of that. No. It's because what people don't know, guilt or innocence has nothing to do with the law. This ain't my words. These ain't my. I got the case right there. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled. Well, I'm gonna go back a little bit. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled in 1991 in the case of Herrera versus Collins. It was two Mexican brothers. One of them was accused of killing one or two police in Texas. He had been on death row for a number of years. He was on death row before me in Texas. Two detectives who was retired was on the case, and the dude that's on death row, his brother supposed to have been the one that actually done it. His brother died. Now this college and universities. Well, I might be getting a little confused here because there was another case called McCleskey versus Zant. That was a brother out of Mississippi. But I will put that to the side right now because that's really crazy, man. But this one, the U.S. Supreme Court, they executed Herrera. Gone. But they executed him because, quoting Sandra Day O'Connor, the quote, I'm gonna quote it, but it's not exactly, but it's so close. I got part of it verbatim. It is not unconstitutional to execute the innocent found guilty properly. Now, make some sense out of that. Guilt or innocence has nothing to do with due process. All that the law requires is that a defendant receives a fair trial and not a perfect one in accordance with due process. So why is Mumia still locked up? I'm gonna tell you why. Because this is what I told my lawyers. Get that innocent stuff out of there on my case. Get it out. Don't say nothing about no innocence, nothing. Because it's a distraction. And it worked. Because all we focused on was procedure and due process. That's all we focused on. And we fought them to a standstill, but we also use other strategies and tactics as well. We kept the case political at all times. When I first went to trial in 1982, I said that the court did not have jurisdiction over me, but I put a little twist on mine. I didn't say it because I was a conscious citizen of the Republic of New Africa. I put Dre Scott in there. That was my little twist I put on it. You know, that Dre Scott has never been repealed, even to this day. And then I put Dre Scott was in my first appeal in 1983. Man, they were so pissed off at me, they took it out on my lawyer. I didn't know this. This came out later. That's got to be another story too, man. People don't. I say people generally. I had an exciting life, man. But they go to show you bliss is ignorance. Ignorance is bliss, because I was just in it because it was in my heart. But it was a lot of things I didn't know that I was out there, and I was you know how you dodging bullets, but you don't know you're dodging them.
Mm.
I know, good brother Ball. You gotta go.
Yeah, I do.
I'm
Unfortunately, in a
watching your
few
body
minutes.
language, man, because you told me earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
And
No, it's
once I get to going, there's so much, man,
no,
because people don't know, man. When you live in a life like this, man, you learn. I was free. I never been as free as I was when I was underground. I was free. Right now, I'm struggling. I ain't never. I walked the picket line for the first time. I think it was 20, either 2019 or 2018, 20, somewhere around in there. And the only reason I walked the picket line, I used to call people fools to be on the picket line. I used to do. They fools, man. They're crazy as hell. I ain't gonna be standing with no stick in my hand. You give me that, that heater, and it's on and popping. You know what I'm saying? That's my attitude. That's all our attitude. All our attitude is like that. But the only reason I went to the picket line, because the police had killed some young brothers in Gary. And we was demonstrating about them, but it was just too much going on. And the Gary Police Department is mostly black. So like Fred said, it doesn't make no difference to the white, brown, pink, yellow, green, orange, an imperialist is an imperialist. You know what I'm saying? A colonialist is a colonialist, a neo-colonialist. That's what it was. Skin color got nothing to do with it. So I was scared too. I was in my 60s then. I was scared. I was turning out. I got pictures about. I said, take this picture, bro. This got to be a historical event. You know what I'm saying? I would never dream, but people protested for me. People walked the picket line for me. People walked around the courthouses, the jails. People put their life on the line for me while I was locked up. So I was so, man. I said, first time I get, I'm gonna be on the picket line. But to face your fears is the way you get over it. Get over your fears. It's the way you overcome your fears. You must face them. I was afraid to be on the picket line, but I wasn't afraid of nothing else. That's kind of weird. But those are the type of that's how that's how I also use my art, and I got a lot of experience about that too. The brother that taught me I've been doing art all my life. I was a child, but I learned how to oil paint when I was in prison from a brother named William Turner. Another reason I'm bringing a lot of these names up like this, because these brothers, man, it's like they live their life and they gone, but nobody never knows about them. I'm still here. It's only 2 people walking this earth that was a part of our cell. One of them is in Milwaukee, and the other one is right here in Gary. And really, it was a combination of 2 cells, because see, our last name was usually the name of the cell. So Olabala cell. You had the Olabala cell. You had the Azania cell. You had the George Jackson Brigade, and so forth and so on. Those were the different, names of different, there were others, and that was part of the structure. But now I want to say this too. Nowadays, for young brothers, if I gotta say anything about the young people today, the internet is good. Use it, but be consistent, because there's so much, and you got AI now. You got so much distraction. You got so much. The intelligence community, they use intelligence to describe their criminals, but they are using those same mediums to undermine what you're doing. So you at war. You know, you see, war is monotonous. War is boredom. War is uneventful. Except every now and then you're gonna have that rush where the moment of truth is right there, and it don't last a long time. And then when the smoke clear, everybody ain't still standing. That's war. But you may go some months, weeks, maybe a year or two with no real drama. But your main thing, you're writing, you're reading, you're studying, you integrating yourself into the community. You are the good Samaritan in them terms, and everybody start gravitating towards you. You know, so that's how you ingratiate yourself into the community. But you cannot, in no circumstances, you cannot do anything to undermine or hurt or harm anyone in the community, because you can destroy that person's life and destroy their trust in anybody else, and in their trust into the movement. Because it's much like that now. So the people that the young people, man, they real skeptical.
Yeah, we probably probably could put a pin in it here, because I could listen to this all day. But
yeah, unfortunately the schedule is just collapsing on me. If we can, but look, as Zolo, as much as you want time, I will make it. I'm sure Two Black can help with that, and
yeah,
you know, we can find others as well. So I'm, you know, even immediately once I get on the road here in a minute, I can start communicating with Two Black about a next, you know, scheduling your next step. And again, as much as you want time, we can make it for you. And then I just want to remind everybody to please support the Patreon in the show description. And if you can, just go directly there. Any revenue generated by this video, I'll just send over there as well, including if folks send super thanks and all those other types of things. Just send it over for those who are going to see this beyond the live. Two Black, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm sending you the Cash App. You can put that in the
absolutely
the description too.
Yep. Then that'll be in the show description as well. And folks who are here live and those seeing this later can check that out and send something over as well. This has been great. Like I said, I will follow up immediately about setting up, you know, some follow up. And thank you very much for coming through and starting this series.
All right, then, good, bro. Okay. Well, I can do to help.
All right, everybody. Thanks to those who are here live. A big shout out again to Two Black for putting this together, and of course to Zolo for the life and the work and coming through as well. Peace, everybody. Only if you're willing to fight for it, as Fred Hampton used to say. And we'll catch you next time with more.
And what do you sacrifice? Calm, kindness, kinship, love. I've given up all chance at inner peace. I made my mind a sunless space. I share my dreams with ghosts. I wake up every day to an equation I wrote 15 years ago for which there's only one conclusion. I'm damned for what I do. My anger, my ego, my unwillingness to yield, my eagerness to fight, that set me on a path from which there's no escape. I yearn to be a savior against injustice without contemplating the cost, and by the time I look down, there's no longer any ground beneath my feet. What is my sacrifice? I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them. I burn my decency for someone else's future. I burn my life to make a sunrise that I know I'll never see. Now, the ego that started this fight will never have a mirror or an audience or the light of gratitude. So what do I sacrifice? everything, 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 everything.
I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.